This is the presentation for the 15th Sunday of Ordinary Time, Year C. It focuses on the Gospel reading, which is the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Here we're going to do a presentation of the Good Samaritan, and it's from the Gospel of St. Luke. The core concept here is that Jesus calls us to treat others with mercy and kindness. Again, it's a core concept that we just understand as a teacher. We know that's where we're geared towards. There are many other things we can think about too, but that is at the heart of what this parable is about. The materials that we need are just listed as usual. So we have the Good Samaritan diorama. Here you can see it partially set up. What I like to say about that is that there's a variety of backgrounds that you can choose to use, and it's just for you to choose from amongst the ones that we have, or maybe you have your own. At the moment, we're actually using our canvases that are on hard canvas. These are going to be replaced shortly with canvas, flexible canvas, and they will just be able to be put behind the actual box at the bottom of the box here. There'll be some Velcro dots to attach that, so that becomes the background. So here's the front of the box, and by the way, usually the front image on the top of the box is something that can become a conversation piece or a prayer piece, a reflection piece. They could be using various classical images. They could be using classical images or very often icons, because as you would probably know, when people create the icons, they pray their way through the creation of those icons. So there's a great deal to think about and to pray about when you're looking at an icon, if you understand how to read an icon. That's a very interesting thing to introduce children to at the appropriate time. So you'll need the diorama, which is set up here, a background which is indicating a road, a bit of a desert road, or a semi-desert road, and the magnetic map of Israel is handy to refer to as well. So I'm just going to start the presentation now. Did you know that in Jesus' time, a priest was someone who worked in the temple? Where's my priest? Who worked in the temple? Here's the priest, our priest. And all the priests had to be descended from Aaron, the brother of Moses. A Levite was someone who did other important jobs in the temple. These were called Levites. This is our representation of a Levite. And the Levites came from the tribe of Levi, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And then you have Samaria comes into the story. So Samaria is a region of the Holy Land, and here it is, it's this whole region here. Judea is another region where Jerusalem is. So you have Samaria and Judea. And the Samaritans prayed at Mount Gerizim, which is actually not on this map. And the Samaritans were not well regarded by the Jews. The Jews did not respect them very much for various reasons, partly because they were a mixed race. They had been introduced actually by a previous king from another country and had intermarried with the people living there, and they were not really considered to be Jews or to be true believers. But in fact, they did believe in the same God, although they worshipped him in a different way. Then you have the roads, and in this story, the road is going from Jerusalem to Jericho. So somebody was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho in this parable that Jesus tells us. And they were dangerous places to travel because there were lots of rocks, rocky ground, and isolated places, and people could come up against very dangerous characters. Robbers in particular. Now we're going to light the candle because we're about to read from Scripture. A man fell victim to robbers as he went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. They stripped him and beat him and went off, leaving him half dead. Now a priest happened to be going down that road, but when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite came to the place, and when he saw him, he passed by the opposite side. But a Samaritan traveller came upon him, and he was moved with compassion at the sight. He also had his donkey with him. He was moved with compassion at the sight, and for that reason we have here a second version of the Samaritan, showing compassion. You wouldn't say absolutely all of that. I'm just explaining it to you. He approached the victim. That might be a better place to have changed the characters. Poured oil and wine over his wounds and bandaged them. Then he lifted it up on his own animal and took him to an inn and cared for him. Now, there's no perfect way of doing this, of course, because we do have figurines and it's not the perfect thing. And it's okay to have the whole thing reenacted in some way. Bring him back in now. I'm going to remove some characters. The next day, he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper, with the instruction, "Take care of him. If you spend more than what I have given you, I shall repay you on my way back." Which of these 3, in your opinion, was neighbour to the robber's victim? And the scribe answered, "The one who treated him with mercy." And Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." Then we extinguish the candle. I have to say, children really love to see this. Plenty of smoke. And just look at how much smoke is coming out this time. And it's worth pausing to appreciate it. And perhaps referring to the fact that it's a bit like our prayers going to heaven. So I wonder why might the priest and the Levite have passed by without helping? I wonder why the Samaritan was the one who stopped and helped. I wonder, what is a true neighbour? Following on from that and asking them to work in pairs, you might say, what are some of the ways that I can help others in everyday life? at school or at home, in the playground, in the street. And maybe they turn to their person close to them. Maybe they turn to a person close to them and discuss that with them and perhaps share it with the whole class. And then some of the choices possible, reflecting on what I can actually do to reflect the Good Samaritan and how he chose to do things. Could be a journal entry. They might write a personal reflective prayer. They could do some personal art response. Now, in the kids, we have as well a little picture of the elements in here, and they're all described and pointed to, so you know exactly what you have. When you're doing a presentation like this, it's quite complex. You won't get it perfect every time, and you might get some new ideas of how to move the figurines. And I know we have 2 figures for the Good Samaritan himself, and you may choose just to use one, the one that's standing. There's a bit of variety possible there, and you'll refine it as you're going. You'll find the way that it works for you. And if you can come up with imaginative ways of bringing the donkey and the wounded man towards the inn. So these are some of the decisions you can make. So that's the presentation for today.